Well, it took 3 tries before we finally saw a policy-driven debate between the presidential nominees, Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, this one certainly seemed to have a lot more meat in it. Abortion, immigration, Supreme Court appointments, those were all topics addressed during this final face-off between the candidates. And although this was a more focused debate, both candidates took some personal jabs at each other, as we expected, on stage at the University of Nevada, Las Vegas, UNLV. But which candidate came out on top? Well, let's bring in Fox 13's political editor and host of Money Power Politics, Craig Patrick. Craig, what do you think?
Well, in terms of generally who came out on top, I'd have to say Chris Wallace, the moderator, for the very reasons that you mentioned, because we had a debate where the candidates were generally corralled and they at times were taken off of their talking points. And with that, props certainly to the format. It was what I think voters were craving the first couple of rounds and did not get because it went off the rails. If you're scoring, of course, the candidates, though, and that's what we're doing. There was no knockout punch either way. There were striking moments for Donald Trump and for Hillary Clinton as well. I think a lot of people were expecting this debate to open up with Donald Trump being asked about the women who have come forward in recent days accusing him of sexual misconduct. It took a good part of the debate to transpire before this actually came up in the latter part of the debate. And with that, I want to show you how Donald Trump responded and what Hillary Clinton said. Take a look.
And I didn't even apologize to my wife, who's sitting right here, because I didn't do anything. I didn't know any of these women. I didn't see these women. These women, the woman on the plane, the woman, I think they want either fame or her campaign did it. And I think it's her campaign.
Donald thinks belittling women makes him bigger. He goes after their dignity, their self-worth, and I don't think there is a woman anywhere who doesn't know what that feels like. So we now know what Donald thinks and what he says and how he acts toward women. That's who Donald is. I think it's really up to all.
And what you see there again is Hillary Clinton pivoting the issue of accusations, though they cannot be substantiated against Donald Trump, to a broader issue of temperament. There's a reason for that. You look at polling, including the most recent Fox polling, it is showing right now 61% say that Donald Trump lacks the temperament to lead. That's his biggest challenge. And so he didn't come out swinging for the fences you might have expected in this third round, though he is the underdog and underdogs often do this. Instead, he tried, by his standards, to be particularly measured through not all, but much of the debate and try to project a different temperament in response, I think, to the challenges he's faced. I will say that Trump and Clinton both appear to be very prepared for the questions that came. And boy, there was a good deal of ground to cover, from hot spots around the world, as you said, to immigration.
Yeah, they did. As you said, both seemed ready this time for those questions. And Trump, we've heard him do this before. He attacked Clinton for a lack of results during her 30 years in office, as he puts it. So how did that play out tonight?
Well, Donald Trump wants to project himself as an agent of change, that he would be a disruptor. If you're fed up with the direction in Washington and the action or the inaction in the halls of power, you need somebody to shake the system up, then vote for me. That's the core case that he's making for being president of the United States. So he obviously is attacking Clinton on the grounds that she has been in Washington for many, many years and has failed to deliver the type of change that she is calling for throughout the course of her campaign. But this is something that we heard from Donald Trump before. In fact, it was one of his most effective lines in the very first debate, and Hillary Clinton may have been caught off guard by it the first time around. But notice how the exchange played out in round 3.
I'd say the one thing you have over me is experience, but it's bad experience because what you've done has turned out badly. For 30 years, you've been in a position to help. And if you say that I use steel or I use something else, I make it impossible for me to do that. I wouldn't mind. The problem is you talk, but you don't get anything done, Hillary. You don't.
When I was in the Situation Room, monitoring the raid that brought Osama bin Laden to justice, he was hosting the Celebrity Apprentice. So I'm happy to compare my 30 years of experience, what I've done for this country, trying to help in every way I could, especially kids and families, get ahead and stay ahead, with your 30 years, and I'll let the American people make that decision.
I would say in general, you can score it at points for Clinton and for Trump, but Trump had his strongest debate performance tonight by far compared to the other two. The challenge for Trump is that I think this debate will be most remembered for one particular moment in which he said he would not necessarily accept the results of the November 8th election were he to lose. He said he would have to keep us in suspense. I think that will be a long talked about moment heading into tomorrow and the rest of the week. And Hillary Clinton brought it right back to the issue of temperament. And here is one of the ways she did that.
There was even a time when he didn't get an Emmy for his TV program 3 years in a row, and he started tweeting that the Emmys were rigged against
Should have
him.
gotten it.
This is a mindset. This is how Donald thinks. And it's funny, but it's also really troubling.
Of course, heading into this debate, Donald Trump had raised concerns, as he put it, of widespread or tremendous voter fraud that he thinks can rig the election. He was getting a lot of pushback from election managers here in Florida and within his own party. And that's where Trump had a bit of a handicap heading into this debate, because the primary lines of attack that he was using on the campaign trail were getting rebutted by leaders in his own party. Just take a look.
Mr. Donald J. Trump!
Donald Trump entered this night with two lines of attack, and Republican leaders undermined both of them before the debate. Let's start with Trump's claim the election is or will be rigged due to widespread voter fraud.
You look at what's going on in St. Louis and many other cities. There's tremendous voter fraud. And how Republican leadership doesn't see that is beyond me.
Trump's own campaign manager, Kellyanne Conway, undercut him on that one.
Do you believe there will be widespread voter fraud?
No, I do not believe that.
And Ohio's Republican Governor John Kasich called Trump's claims of tremendous voter fraud silly.
Look, to say that elections are rigged and all these votes are stolen, that's like saying we never landed on the moon, frankly. That's how silly it is.
Trump has also been hammering the Clintons over the leaked emails that reveal infighting or discord within the Clinton organization, and Clinton's praising Wall Street and free trade and saying she has two positions, one public and one private, because politics is unsavory. But before the debate, Florida Senator Marco Rubio said Trump needs to lay off all of that because we got that information through foreign hackers.
Our intelligence officials, who are not partisan people, have told us this is the work of a foreign intelligence agency. And we cannot be a country where foreign intelligence agencies can interfere or influence our political process.
Rubio said Democrats are the victims of hackers today, but it could be Republicans tomorrow. And he stressed Trump needs to back off the WikiLeaks material.
I think there's plenty of material in which to line up and take on Secretary Clinton. I think this one is an invitation for chaos and havoc in the future.
Meanwhile, Trump is also having trouble on the question of temperament. In the latest Fox poll, 61% say Trump does not have the temperament to be our next president. And one of his closest surrogates, Newt Gingrich, said Trump needs to grow a thicker skin.
There's a big Trump and a little Trump. The little Trump is frankly pathetic.
And you see the challenges Trump is facing from within his own party as well as from Hillary Clinton. So coming up, Evan Axelbank is going to join me, and we're going to score the key moments tonight as it relates to the issues of trade and immigration and show how it could affect the race going forward in ways you may not expect. All right, Evan Axelbank joins me now. Evan, we were just talking during the break. Clinton was a bit more fiery than you expected.
Yeah, she was more fiery than I expected. And one of the things you look for is in these things is who's ahead and what do they have to do in order to keep their lead. And if you're behind, what do they have to do to come back and tie the thing? Well, in this case, I thought Hillary Clinton had such sort of a big lead in the polls that I wasn't sure she'd come out as fiery as she did. But I think the Clinton camp may have made the calculation that we're not going to rest on our oars right now. We're not going to make it look like we have this thing won. We're not
Did
gonna
that
make
once
it look
before, right?
That's
you saw
right.
how that worked out
Certainly.
for them after Labor Day. They
That's
just tried to sit on a lead, squat on the ball, and you saw what happened.
And it opens up to the line of attack that she doesn't have the stamina, that she's taking things for granted. In this case, Clinton certainly didn't come off that way, and I think that will benefit her down the road is this thing? Down the road is only 2 weeks left.
Well, less than 3 weeks, that's right.
Yeah.
And then you have Hillary Clinton versus Donald Trump. Trump was swinging for the fences in round 2. He was throwing some hard jabs this time around as well. But I think his strategy once again appears to be not reaching out to the late deciders, the undecideds. There's not many of those anyway. And he's trying to rev up his base is what he's trying to do. Rev them up, get them motivated, get out there.
And I think for him, the applause, and I've been to 6 or 7 of his rallies at this point, the applause has become something of a self-fulfilling prophecy for him. He likes the applause. There's something inside of him that makes him feel like, the applause means that things are working for me. But the folks who go to Trump rallies are just not representative of the entire electorate. Nothing against them, nothing against the rest of the electorate. That's just the way things are. The Republican primary is not the same thing as running nationwide in a country that is very much blue and very much red in different areas.
So it's just, I think the most talked about moment is going to be Trump saying he's going to keep us in suspense whether he accepts the results. But there are some other very important points in this debate that can affect the vote in some of the swing states. Now, I want to start with what you keyed into on the issue of immigration and deportation.
Yeah, I mean, I think what you're seeing here is the Trump campaign knows that they've got to pick off a state like New Mexico, a state like, let's say, they've got to keep Arizona. They would love to certainly have Nevada, those 3 states, and of course Florida. Immigration reform is a crucial issue. And so what you saw the Trump campaign saying, or what Donald Trump saying, was, hey, Hillary Clinton voted for issues in the past, for bills in the past where there were walls that were parts of those things. And that was, I thought, a very good attack from Donald Trump, and one that I think may have resonated. So let's take a look here at how they went back and forth over this issue of walls.
We need strong borders. We need we cannot give amnesty. Now, I want to build the wall. We need the wall. The Border Patrol, ICE, they all want the wall. We stop the drugs. We shore up the border. But we have some bad hombres here, and we're going to get them out.
I don't want to rip families apart. I don't want to be sending parents away from children. I don't want to see the deportation force that Donald has talked about. Law enforcement officers would be going school to school, home to home, business to business, rounding up people who are undocumented. And we would then have to put them on trains, on buses to get them out of our country. I think that is an idea that is not in keeping with who we are as a nation.
So you see them fighting really hard for over that issue because they know how important it is to people on several different sides of this. And it's a very emotional issue. So they fought hard over that.
And particularly Arizona, which is now in play, Florida too, some other states. But you also have the Rust Belt, and you have a different issue there that's going to drive voting behavior. And it most certainly is the issue of trade. It's the issue that helped propel Donald Trump and to a certain extent Bernie Sanders in the primaries.
Right, and Donald Trump believes it can propel him to the promised land in this case. He has hammered on NAFTA for this entire campaign. NAFTA, NAFTA, NAFTA. It comes out of his mouth very frequently. He ties Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton together on this one. Bill Clinton, of course, supported NAFTA. He signed it. Donald Trump has called it the worst trade deal that America has ever been involved in. So they also went back and forth over trade, and that is such an important issue because it opens up Hillary Clinton's line of attack because Donald Trump has done so much business in different ways, and she's attacked the way he's done business. So she calls him kind of someone who's got a double standard on how this thing all works out. Let's take a look at that.
There's only one of us on this stage who's actually shipped jobs to Mexico because that's Donald. He's shipped jobs to 12 countries. Donald has bought Chinese steel and aluminum. In fact, the Trump hotel right here in Las Vegas was made with Chinese steel. So he goes around with crocodile tears about how terrible it is, but he has given jobs to Chinese steel workers, not American steel workers.
Now, she can say that her husband did well, but boy, did they suffer as NAFTA kicked in, because it didn't really kick in very much, but it kicked in after they left. Boy, did they suffer. That was one of the worst things that's ever been signed by our country. The one thing you have over me is experience, but it's bad experience, because what you've done has turned out badly. For 30 years, you've been in a position to help, and if you say that I use steel or I use something else, I make it impossible for me to do that.
So Pennsylvania, Ohio, that's on Trump's mind there. He needs those two states. He's hoping that trade and anger over jobs and the economy in those two states will propel him to victory there. One other point to make, it's not just what happens during these debates. The debates matter, but what happens after the debates may be more important. Now, there's a lot of talk right now on Twitter about him calling Hillary Clinton a nasty woman. It's amazing. Right towards the end of the debate, That happened, that moment happened, and that has taken over Twitter. It's taken over the cable news channels. And if the rest of this discussion goes on about that, that could be difficult for Trump to overcome.
Shows a point in which she got under his skin, exactly what she was trying to do. She did to great effect the first debate, not so much the second debate. That moment, I think you're absolutely right, is a turning point. Now, third debates don't move the needle typically as much as you have said before.
But Trump needs them to.
But Trump needs it to. And not just in the national vote total. You look at that 6-point spread in the average of polls. You say, gee, that's pretty big. It is big.
Yeah.
No candidate has overcome
compared
that.
to 2012.
But it's much tighter. It is, but it's much tighter in the swing states like Ohio and Pennsylvania, as you said. And that's where Trump is trying to make a move. So that's how this debate can certainly have an impact on the race yet to come in the coming days. So we will continue to score this and the impact on social media and in Florida and how it plays right here in Tampa Bay. But we still have a long way to go.